Newton's second law of motion. Now, you have a body of mass m. Body is moving with an initial velocity u. Now you give the body a force F. After time t, the same body of mass m starts moving with the final velocity v. Now, my initial momentum of the body what is momentum? Mass into velocity. So it is mu. My final momentum of the body is mass into velocity mv. Change in momentum is mv minus mu. Final minus initial. Now, rate of change of momentum is change in momentum divided by time taken for the change. What is the time? Time is t. Now, what Newton said in his second law is that the rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the force applied. And the change takes place in the direction of the force. The direction of the applied force. So, what did Newton say? Newton said that this rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the force applied. This rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the force applied, and the change takes place in the direction of the applied force. So if you can write this in mathematical form, rate of change of momentum is this, that is directly proportional to the force applied. That is what Newton said. So I can write force is proportional to change in momentum divided by time. Or if you introduce an equal to sign, you have to introduce a constant term. I am taking mass common here. You can write this as force proportional. You can take mass common. So From proportionality, if you introduce an equal to sign, you have to introduce a constant. So this becomes v minus u by t. From varies, I have introduced an equal to sign. Now children, the body had an initial velocity u, final velocity v. Since the velocity is increasing, there is an acceleration acting, and this acceleration A is actually change in velocity by time. Change in velocity by time. Therefore, what is my acceleration? V minus u by t. This is my acceleration. Now, if you bring the value of acceleration over here, if you bring the value of acceleration over here, v minus u by t is acceleration. So what can I say? Or F equal to k mass into acceleration. Now the units of F were such chosen, children, that when unit force was applied on unit mass, then acceleration came out to be 1. So if you put the value of F as 1, mass as 1, then acceleration came out to be 1. So what is the value of k? Value of k becomes 1. So if I put the value of k, children, over here, if I put the value of k over here, what do you get? You get the magnitude of the force. That is, force is mass into acceleration, because k is 1. So you can remember the expression for force as force is ma. Who gives you force at home? Ma. So remember, ma gives you force. What is m? M is mass, a is acceleration. Now, there are some limitations of this equation, children. Now, limitations of second law of Newton's second law. Now, Einstein gave us a mass velocity relation m equal to m naught divided by root over of 1 minus v square by c square. What is m naught? M naught is the rest mass, that is the mass when the body is at rest. What is v? V is the speed of the body. What is c? C is speed of light. What is the value of speed of light, children, in air? 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Now Einstein gave us a mass velocity relation. Till now we knew that mass never changes. But Einstein gave us an expression and he said mass varies with velocity. Now, why do we take mass as constant? Here we have taken the mass m when speed is u and mass m when speed is v. We did not change the mass with velocity. But you see here, mass is changing with velocity. What is the reason? Now children, if you assume that the speed of the body is much less than speed of light. If you assume the speed of the body much less than speed of light, then v by c is very small. And when you square a small quantity, say for example children, you have a number 0.001. This is very small. And when you square the number 0.001 whole square, what will it be? This is 10 to the power minus 3. And this will be 10 to the power minus 3 whole square. So it will be 10 to the power minus 6. So it becomes smaller. So when you square a small quantity, when we square a small quantity, it becomes smaller. So here v by c is very small. So when you square this, v squared by c squared, this term becomes smaller. So when it becomes smaller, you can neglect the term. Now I can neglect this term. So what is my mass now? Mass was m naught divided by root over of 1 minus v squared by c squared. Now v squared by c squared term is very small. So I can neglect it. So what is my mass now? M naught by root 1. What is root 1? 1. So that is m naught, which is constant. So this what happens with us children. We assume the body is moving with a speed much less than speed of light. That's why mass remains constant. Actually, you cannot imagine a body moving with the speed of light, isn't it? In reality, the body moves with a speed much less than speed of light. So mass remains constant. Now, if speed of the body almost equal to speed of light, then what happens? If v and c becomes equal, then v by c becomes equal to 1. Then v square by c square is also 1. Now if v square by c square is 1, what happens? Mass equal to m naught divided by square root of 1 minus v square by c square was the formula. Now v square by c square is 1. So this can be written as m naught by square root of 1 minus 1. Now 1 minus 1 is 0. So it is m naught by 0. So it becomes infinite. Anything by 0 is infinite. So if I draw a graph of mass versus velocity, if I draw a graph of mass versus velocity children, if I draw a graph of mass versus velocity, mass along the y-axis and velocity of the body along x-axis, the graph will turn out like this. When speed is very much less than speed of light, say this is the speed of light. Say this is the speed of light. See, so what happens? Initially, the mass of the body remains constant. Initially, the mass of the body remains constant for low speed. But as it approaches the speed of light, what happens? The mass increases, and goes to infinity. Now, here, what happens? This comes from Einstein's uh, mass energy, from the mass formula. Now, here, what happened? When we derived the formula, we have taken the mass does not change. And it affected my formula in this way. Here the mass was same for both V and U. So what happened? Here I could have taken the mass outside. Then this was my acceleration. Now if mass changes, if mass becomes m1 when the speed is u, m2 when the speed is v, then you cannot take this m common. Then you won't get this formula. That means F equal to ma is applicable. This is applicable only when speed of the body is much less than speed of light, that is mass remains constant. That means F equal to ma is applicable, children, only in this region where the mass remains constant. Now very often you are asked to plot a graph of force, mass, force, acceleration. Now let us look into the different forms of graph. Let me draw the different graphs. Different types of graphs you can be asked to draw. So at the beginning, what is the formula which we have? Formula is m into a. Suppose they ask you to draw a graph of force and mass when acceleration is constant. What will be the graph like? When acceleration is constant, force is directly proportional to mass. So when you have a direct proportional graph, it will be something like this. When acceleration is constant, force and mass are directly proportional. If mass increases, force will increase. Now suppose they have asked you to draw a graph of force in this direction and acceleration in this direction. Say mass is constant. Now what is the formula? F equal to ma. If mass is constant, force and acceleration, they are again directly proportional. So the graph will be a straight line. Greater the force, greater is the acceleration. So force is directly proportional to acceleration, or you can say acceleration is directly proportional to the force. Now suppose you are asked to draw a graph of acceleration and mass. Acceleration and mass. Now if you think over here, children, let me discuss this part. F equal to ma. So what is acceleration? Force by mass. Now if mass is 0, what is my acceleration? Acceleration is force by 0, and anything by 0 is infinite. And if mass is very, very big, infinite, mass is very, very big, acceleration is force by mass. Therefore, acceleration is force by infinity, and anything by infinity is nothing but 0. Once again, if you look into this formula, force is mass into acceleration. Acceleration is force by mass. When mass is 0, acceleration is infinite. And when mass is infinite, acceleration is 0. So, if you are asked to plot a graph of acceleration and mass, provided force is constant, what will be the graph like? When mass is 0, children, here at this point, acceleration is infinity. Now, where is infinity? How to draw infinity? Infinity is here, 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 or where? We don't know. To represent infinity in a graph, you are not going to touch the y-axis. The graph will come out like this. We see that acceleration is force by mass. So acceleration is inversely proportional to mass. So as mass increases, acceleration will decrease. And we know when mass is 0, acceleration is infinite. Infinite, how can you show in the graph? It will not touch the y-axis. It will decrease. It will decrease. But here don't touch the y-axis. It implies that when mass is 0, it is infinite. Don't touch. And when mass is infinite, now where is infinity? Where does it go? We don't know. So here again, you are not going to touch the x-axis. It should show a decreasing trend because it is inverse. But it will not touch the x-axis. It implies at this point, when mass is infinity, acceleration is 0. So mass is plotted along the x-axis. It is infinity of mass, we don't know. So to represent in the graph, don't touch the x-axis. If you don't touch the x-axis, it will tell your examiner that it will reach the x-axis at infinity and acceleration will become 0 only when mass is infinity. So inverse graph will be like this. From the beginning, let me just recap what we studied. Today we are studying Newton's second law of motion. There was a body of mass m moving with an initial velocity u. After I gave the body a force F, the body started moving with final velocity v after time t. My initial momentum was mu. My final momentum is mv. My change in momentum is mv minus mu. My rate of change of momentum is mv minus mu by t. According to Newton, rate of change of momentum, this term, is directly proportional to the force applied, and the change takes place in the direction of the applied force. So rate of change of momentum is this term. It is directly proportional to the force. Or we can say force is proportional to rate of change of momentum. Mass we have taken common. This term was acceleration. This term was acceleration, children. Acceleration is change in velocity by time. So this term we have introduced as A. So force becomes ma. Why? Because the constant was 1. Why? Because when unit force was applied on unit mass, then acceleration came out to be 1. F is 1, m is 1, then a is 1. Then the only option is k is 1. If you put the value of k as 1, you get F equal to ma. One point to note over here, children, mass is a scalar quantity which has no direction. Acceleration is a vector quantity. It has a direction. Since acceleration is a vector, force is also a vector quantity. Force is a vector quantity. Scalar into vector will always give you a vector quantity. Force is a vector quantity whose direction is very, very important. Now we come to the limitation of Newton's second law of motion. Formula for mass and velocity dependence is m is equal to m naught by root over of 1 minus v squared by c squared. Now you will tell me, Miss, we know mass is constant. How can mass change its velocity? Children, look into this part. M naught is the rest mass, v is the speed of the body, c is the speed of light. When we do our calculations, we take the speed of the body much less than speed of light. In this case, v by c is very small. And what I told you here, when we square a small quantity, it becomes further small. If you square 0.001, it will come 0.000001. It will become smaller. So, v is much less than c. v by c is very small. v squared by c squared is smaller. So, in this expression, we can neglect this term. This is 0. So, mass becomes m naught by root 1, which is constant. This is what we take while we do our calculations. We take the mass constant. That means here we have taken m, here also we have taken m. That means we have taken that the speeds are much less than speed of light. But what happens when the speed of the body approaches speed of light? This term becomes almost 1. So v squared by c squared becomes 1. This term becomes 1. And 1 minus 1 becomes 0. Anything by 0 becomes infinite. The graph of mass versus velocity is, children, initially the mass is constant, and when it approaches the speed of light, mass increases. F equal to ma is applicable in this region where mass is constant. That is, F equal to ma is applicable only when the speed of the body is much less than speed of light. That is, mass remains constant. Now, you can be asked to draw graphs of force mass, acceleration force, acceleration mass. Force mass is a straight line because they are directly proportional. Direct proportional is a straight line. Now the problem arises with the inverse graph. In the inverse graph, we have seen the calculation. When mass is 0, acceleration is infinite, and when mass is infinity, acceleration is 0. Now for inverse graph, what you are going to do, your graph should neither touch the y-axis nor the x-axis, because it tells the examiner that this is not touching the y-axis. That means it will meet at infinity, because we know when mass is 0, acceleration is infinite.